man, we had some fucking football yesterday, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it started out. Granted, Notre Dame was a noon kick.
Mm.
Thought they looked very, very good. I
Yeah.
was anxious to see how Tommy Rees went from just the quarterback's coach to, I guess you could call him the interim offensive coordinator, but he was a play caller. I thought he started off really rocky.
Yep.
And I was wondering, thinking to myself, where is he doing the whole, script the first 15 plays and then kind of figured out where he was going? But you know what? He's never done this. And for him to start out a little rocky, it's not like the play calling was horrible. It's just some of the execution wasn't quite there. Call it rust, if you will, maybe. But overall, I thought they looked really good. And what I'd been talking about kind of behind the scenes is I was with a couple buddies is, will Tommy Rees come back? Or not Tommy Rees, but Ian Book come back. And because he can do a fifth year. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't be mad if he didn't. He looked really good. He's been consistent. I mean, the Michigan game probably was, I mean, let's be honest, it's the worst Notre Dame's looked all season. And, you can attribute that to just Michigan outplaying them, the weather. However, I think that day, if it was sunny and 80, I don't think the score would have been any different.
Yeah.
So, starting out with that, I mean, that was a good warm-up. It's a good warm-up. Then 4 o'clock hits, and I'm pretty sure by 4:30 that game was over.
Yeah. That game was over before it even started. I mean, you can't argue the four teams in the playoff. I think they got it right. Oklahoma deserved to be there, but LSU is they're just good.
They're fucking joysticking everything, hitting the B button. I mean, I left here and went up to drop anchor about 7 o'clock, and it was just past halftime, maybe a little into the third quarter. And everyone's like, "Oh, Turbo, you watching this game?" I'm like, "Kinda." I mean, the only reason I'm paying attention is to see if Burrow's going to throw 10 touchdown passes because the motherfucker threw seven of them in the first half.
Yep.
And it's not one of those games where you say if you like scoring, you're going to love this game because there's only scoring on one side.
Yeah.
Now, I'm pretty sure if you go back to last week, both of us picked LSU. I think the vast majority of folks picked LSU. I thought it'd be maybe a 10-point game, 2-score game, 14 points, not 1,400.
And the scariest thing about it is he has 7 touchdowns at halftime. There's no reason why he couldn't have had 9-10 touchdowns.
Easy.
I mean, they definitely called the dogs off and took it easy on him.
Well, they have to look forward to the next game. You don't want Burrow out there getting hurt and can't play in the national title game because they had that game well in hand, middle of the second quarter.
He came back out after halftime and did have a rushing touchdown to give him 8 total touchdowns for the day. He was just below 500 passing yards.
I want to say at one point he had just as many incompletions as touchdown passes. Just fucking crazy. Now, I think that we kind of, well, not we, like you and I had a big fucking hand in this, but I think that the whole, Oklahoma's defense is ranked higher than LSU's. I think a lot of that goes to the competition that you're playing, and getting back to what you said, the number 4 team. I don't think you could have put any team in there. That might not have been as lopsided, but I think any team loses that game. I think any team loses that. But yeah, there was a lot of folks saying, well, is it, the whole Heisman and all the award shows, all of that, is that going to take away from their focus? Obviously not.
No.
Obviously not. And Coach Orgeron, man, he's building something there that's going to be special for a long time. And to kind of do it right in Saban's backyard, I think it's fucking awesome. I think it's awesome. But yeah, that game, like I said, we both picked LSU. I don't think either one of us saw that barrage and just craziness.
Yeah, not quite that bad. I mean, I figured that LSU would kind of have their way with them a little bit, but not to that level where you got 7 touchdown passes in the first half.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you asked Joe Burrow, before the game, he's like, all right, well, what's a stat line that you would be okay with and win? He'd probably say 320 yards, three passing touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he did that in like the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before we get into kind of the shocker of the night, how about Penn State?
Yeah.
That is, I mean, they played Memphis. I'm not sure what the name of that bowl was.
Yeah, I
The
can't remember.
KFC Crispy Chicken Bowl.
No, and Memphis is no slouch. I mean,
No.
they've been.
I mean, granted, Memphis did lose their head coach.
Yes.
Not that he died. He just took another job.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an interim head coach, but still, that you would think that the same routine, the same everything would still be there at least for this game. Moving forward, who knows? But yeah, that's a great program that they built up, and they were ranked 12th, I think, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. But wow, speaking of coaching jobs, Coach Franklin's got it going on.
Yes, I mean everybody's already known how good of a recruiter he is. I mean, when he took the job at Penn State, that's what everybody raved about, is how great of a recruiter he's going to be. Well, he can also develop some kids too, because he's developing some football players there. He's developing some NFL players there, and
a couple
it's only
badass
gonna
running backs.
them winning and winning these big bowl games and being relevant in the Big 10. His recruiting's only going to keep on getting better.
Yes, and that ultimately is going to make the Big Ten stronger. So let's get to probably, I mean, yesterday was probably the best day of the year for college football.
Yeah.
You had all the best games going on, and we've already touched base on the early game, but the one that probably the best played game was the Ohio State Clemson game, and I think that a lot of us, myself, I'm not going to lump everyone. Myself, I discounted Clemson's defense so much for not having played anybody, and wow, they came and just they lived up to the hype.
Oh yeah,
and it's probably to the point now you should probably never doubt Dabo Swinney.
no,
But yet, if you look at all the season that they had. Granted, the one almost loss at North Carolina, which North Carolina ended up being a legit team, but their conference play was just so watered down. They really didn't play anybody,
and that's why they fell in the rankings. I mean, they were the preseason number 1 team. They deserve to be. The problem is, you look at the teams that LSU played this year. You look at the teams that Ohio State played this year. Clemson doesn't have that on their schedule. They didn't have that, and they didn't play anybody out of conference to build their schedule up either. They almost got knocked off by a North Carolina team, and so they just they were winning against cupcakes week in, week out. So I mean, yeah, you can make an argument that they could still be the number 1 team in the game, but the problem is they didn't play anybody, so they moved back to 3.
Yep.
But
they put a handle on a very good Ohio State offense. Ohio State put a handle on a very good Clemson offense. And what was the final score to that?
Oh.
And it was, I mean, down to the wire, because Fields threw an interception very late in the game in the end zone that would have put Ohio State ahead. It's like 29-23. 29-23, yep. So, I mean, it was obviously a lot better, closer game than the first one. But, yeah, that was my takeaway from that. We knew Clemson was going to score. We knew Ohio State was going to score. It was just how much is if Clemson got behind, how would they respond? And they weren't behind very much. So that really didn't get answered. What did get answered is that Clemson defense as good as their national title defense? Probably not as good.
No, but they're right there. They're right there.
Are they good enough to? You're not going to stop LSU.
No.
I'm actually kind of curious to see if there's a point spread out on this yet. But is it going to be close? And are they going to be able to contain Joe Burrow? Are they going to keep this, a 30, 35 point? So that's that's going to be, it's a question that we're probably going to hear for the next couple weeks because this game's obviously a couple Mondays away.
Yeah, to me for Clemson is can you run the football? If they can run the football and they can run clock, because the last thing you want to do with LSU is to get into a shootout.
LSU's a 5.5 point favorite right now.
Yes, you cannot get into a shootout with LSU. You have to. They have to turn it into a possession game. If they can have the ball for a substantial amount longer than LSU, then they could have a shot at winning this game. It's kind of the same thing that they did with Ohio State. They were able to have success with the running game and hold on to the ball and not allow Ohio State's offense to be on the field and make the big plays. And
I think the running back Etienne, I think he's kind of the unsung hero for that offense. Everyone looks at Trevor Lawrence and all those receivers, and he's been the one he had at least 2 touchdowns last night. I guarantee he had 1 because I watched it. But he's kind of that glue, and that's when leading up to yesterday's LSU game, that's what they were saying about Oklahoma. They need to run the ball, possess it more, keep it out of Joe Burrow's hands, and then they were also saying that one of the big extras is going to be Jalen Hurts and his running ability. But when you fall behind that far, that quick, that takes the whole the running game and burning the clock, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You've got to air it out. And the Oklahoma offense has been airing it out pretty much all year. But there's no defense in the Big 12. We've talked. I mean, that historically there hasn't been. So there's probably going to be there's every sports talk is going to be talking about this, and I think it's going to be an awesome game. I really do. We'll wait till next week to give you our pick. I think it's too early. I need to digest it. Need to look at it so I can pick the wrong team. But yeah, it's to tie a bow on it. I mean, I don't think it could have got any better. I mean, unless you're a huge Ohio State fan or a big Sooner fan.
The call on the field on that play, the call on the field was a fumble. It was picked up by Ohio State, and they take it back for a touchdown. And then they overturn it and turn it into an incomplete pass. And, after watching the replay, I think that, in my opinion, I think they got the call right. I think it was an incomplete pass. But was that indisputable evidence? Because that's what they say. There has to be indisputable evidence to overturn a call on the field. I don't see that. I don't see the indisputable evidence. It was a very close call. It was a very hard call to make. But they called it a fumble on the field. For them to go in and overturn that was a huge play of that game. That could be the difference of that game.
Oh, absolutely.
And to me, I thought,
because at that point you're the momentum's shifting, everything is in flux, and who knows, Ohio State could have taken that and taken the momentum and ran with it, and this would have been a 20-point game.
But on the other side of things, I for years and years, especially when Urban was there, Ohio State fans were always Urban got all the calls. He got all the calls. And Ohio State fans were like, "Oh, we don't. Games don't come down to the officials." Well, they were the ones on Twitter last night. Blame the officials. Where are these officials from? They got to be from Clemson. Are they Clemson fans, lifelong Clemson fans? And I'm like, you know what? It sucks to be on that side, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you as a Michigan fan has been on that. I mean, there's spots on 4th down that were,
Don't even get me started on that one. Most of Michigan's problems are self-inflicted.